Welcome to Electrified. In this video, we're going to cover why this channel exists. So there's currently a once-in-a-lifetime revolution taking place in the auto industry, and it's truly a David versus Goliath story that I don't want anybody to miss. But of course, along the way, we will absolutely have some fun.
Oh yeah, baby! I think everything's good.
Oh my gosh, Forrest! What the heck is wrong with you?
It's like a lot faster than Jaguar.
Oh my god!
This is like way faster.
Oh my gosh! No, dude! Oh my gosh!
Let's jump into it. So, what is this David and Goliath story? In one corner, we have Tesla, who most recently has a $60 billion market cap, going up against this conglomerate of opponents, starting with the oil and gas industry, which accounts for $85 trillion in gross domestic product. Traditional internal combustion engine automakers, which is roughly a $2 trillion market annually. Short sellers, which most recently are composed of $9 billion in short interest. If you're not familiar, short selling a stock is basically just betting that the stock will go down. So oftentimes these people will write articles and release videos with negative headlines so the stock goes down, which we'll cover a lot more in depth in future videos. So if you're new, be sure to subscribe. Those resistant to change. Some people out there don't like change no matter what it is, and the uneducated masses, by no fault of their own, but those that are getting their Tesla information from the media and the news, it's going to be negative for all the reasons that we'll cover in this video, and they're just misled by FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which we will circle back to. So, Tesla isn't just a car company. So if you're new to the electric vehicle world, of course they make a sexy lineup of cars, but they make much more. So they're installing superchargers around the world, and the goal and the hope is in the future, all if not most of these superchargers will be powered by solar and renewable energy. There's currently over 1,600 stations with 14,000 plus superchargers. So they also make power walls, which can store residential energy from the solar roofs that they also create and are installing. They create power packs, which can store and generate electricity for entire cities. And they have their own insurance. So Tesla is a disruptive company in multiple industries, and the competitors and the current leaders in those markets stand to lose billions with the success of not only Tesla, but the other companies that will follow suit. So back to FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is a screenshot I took from my phone just yesterday. As you can see, the headlines, the four of them, they're all negative or neutral. And any given day, that's most likely what you'll see. This chart I pulled from 2018. Each bar is 1 week in September. The red portion are the amount of negative articles written about Tesla. The yellow is neutral and the blue is positive. As you can see, the recurring theme, a huge percentage of all of the articles being written about Tesla are negative or neutral. So what you're gonna see, these are just random headlines that I pulled over the last few years showing bias toward Tesla. Honestly, this doesn't even scratch the surface of the anti-Tesla campaign that has been going on in the media, but it'll give you a general idea of what's out there. So yes, Tesla is leading the way, which is why I'll cover them in depth in this channel. However, they cannot make the difference on their own. To protect our planet from irreversible climate change, we need other automakers and energy companies to follow suit. The good news is it's starting to happen. These other legacy automakers are realizing if they don't get with the program of electric vehicles over the next 10, 20, 30 years, they will be irrelevant. So Volkswagen comes in with a $30 billion investment. BMW, Audi with $12 billion, Ford $11 billion, Toyota $2 billion, Jaguar, Porsche in with $7.4 billion. So currently, only about 1% of worldwide auto sales are electric, but according to Valeo, by 2025, it should be at least 10%. And this number could be significantly higher. Honestly, it depends on how serious these other automakers get about electric vehicles. The good news is the trend has started. The reality of it is all of these automakers are years behind Tesla because Tesla has been strictly focused on electric vehicle and sustainable energy use for the better part of 15 years. Now, real quick, the advertising spend dilemma. So, CNBC is owned by NBC. NBC is owned by Comcast. So, Comcast owns CNBC. Comcast makes its money from cable subscriptions. How does the cable model work? Ad spend. Who spends the most money on ads? Ford and GM, spending billions annually. Tesla spends zero. Thus, Tesla succeeding will harm Ford and GM, leaving them less to spend on advertising, which is part of why CNBC is so blatantly biased against Tesla. Tesla is easily one of the greatest stories we'll watch in our lifetime. The disconnect between the narrative and the mainstream and what Tesla is actually achieving is incredibly massive. I've never seen anything like it. It's one of the greatest American success stories unfolding right before our eyes, inspiring people to build a sustainable future. All the while, doing it by creating products that people derive joy from owning, becoming a part of the movement toward a better and more enjoyable future. So what? Why does any of this matter? Well, no matter what you feel about climate change, in 2015, there was a research study done on if electric vehicles are actually better for the environment, from all of the manufacturing process to the use of the car to disposal. This is the best study that's been done to date, and in future videos, we'll cover this more in depth, but I want to give you the highlights. This chart shows that electric vehicles reduce overall global warming emissions by 50% over the life cycle of the vehicle. So the red orange is the emissions produced by making the vehicle. The blue is the emissions produced by manufacturing the battery for the electric vehicles, and the gray is the operation of the vehicle. As you can see, there's over a 50% reduction for using battery electric vehicles, aka they are indeed factually better for the environment. And keep in mind, this was 4 years ago, so battery technology and production and the manufacturing process has only gotten much, much better. So these numbers in all reality are going to get better. So these bullet points are just highlighting what we just went over. And of course, the grid that these electric vehicles will draw their power from is also becoming cleaner as it moves toward renewable energy. Now, the Center for Climate and Energy Solutions releases data for 2017. Most of greenhouse gas emissions are from carbon dioxide, which you can see on the left in the blue. And on the right, you can see also the blue. The transportation sector makes up about 30% of overall greenhouse gas emissions. So as the fleet of vehicles on the road transitions to more electric vehicles, we can significantly make a change for the better for the environment. Now, getting into the man, the myth, the legend, Elon Musk, the leader of not only Tesla, but many other things. In future videos, once again, we'll cover a lot more about Elon. But just some highlights: he created a video game at the age of 12. He sold Zip2 for $22 million shortly thereafter. He created X.com, which later became PayPal. Started SpaceX, which today has roughly a $35 billion valuation. He sold PayPal for $250 million. He used that money to invest and lead Tesla from the early stages, which as of today has roughly a $60 billion market cap. He founded and created SpaceX, which has developed reusable rockets, forever altering space exploration, making it much, much more affordable. And he founded the Boring Company, which has a roughly $1 billion valuation.
People who've been in the rocketry business for decades, who say about you that you don't know what you don't know. You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it.
Now is the time to overrule this administration's pledge to mediocrity.
You know, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. You know, I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
I would say because they are fearful of how disruptive plug-in cars will be and how unattractive their old product line will appear.
There's very little time left in the year to resolve these things. I mean, there were like 2 or 3 business days left in the year. I never thought it was possible for me to have a nervous breakdown, but if it was possible for me to have a nervous breakdown there, that was about as close as I was going to come.
Electric vehicles are really not possible in ways that would be effective for most consumers still. This is just the religion of electric vehicles. And like Jonestown, that religion will come to an end.
Tesla stock voted by Wall Street as the least likely to succeed.
You don't want to own this stock. You don't want to lease it. Heck, you shouldn't even rent the darn thing.
You put $90 billion, like 50 years worth of brakes into solar and wind, to Solyndra and Fisker and Tesla and Enter1. I mean, I had a friend who said you don't just pick the winners and losers, you pick the losers.
It really feels good to have repaid the U.S. taxpayer. That's really what's important here. And we didn't just repay the principal. We actually repaid it with interest and a bonus payment. So ultimately, the U.S. taxpayer actually made a profit of over $20 million on this loan.
They're going to send their own planes up.
It's rockets, yeah. I'm skeptical.
An incredibly inspiring thing for a private corporation to be able to do what SpaceX has done. But Neil deGrasse Tyson does not think that when it comes to the major goals of our space program, things like being able to get humans to Mars, SpaceX simply will not be able to accomplish them.
Why not? I don't ever give up. I mean, I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated.